Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this Thursday's MBE Movie News. I am John Walsh. I'm back for some movie news. That's what we do here. Who'd have thought it, with movie news up in the corner there. We speak about movie news on this show, and there's some pretty interesting movie news coming out, mostly surrounding the existential threat of movie theatres and contracts being signed and some contracts being rejigged. So that's what I'm going to get into. First things first, I've asked the question down there: will the Warner Brothers ticket price slashing have any impact on their strategy henceforth in the next year or so of releasing movies dual on HBO Max and in theatres at the same time? Will it have an impact? And of course, no one is naive enough to think that that is the only time they're going to be doing it. Over the course of the next year or so, pandemic rules, they're going to continue on doing this for the foreseeable. But you know what, I'm going to bring that graphic down very, very briefly, because that was just to remind myself how I'd worded the actual headline. I'm going to start the show off actually by speaking about a guy who's just passed away, a man of fame, Star Wars fame. Jeremy Bullock has passed away. I'm going to bring this up very quickly. It's coming in from a newspaper that I don't tend to read. I don't particularly like them, but I'm just going to use them as the headline. Star Wars original Boba Fett actor Jeremy Bullock has passed away. I'm not going to say the word dead in that manner because it seems so callous and befitting of an article, a shit rag like that. He's dead at 75 though, after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. This is sad news, of course, caught in the footsteps of Peter Mayhew passing away. Not Peter Mayhew, David Prowse. Peter Mayhew passed away fairly recently as well. We're losing them all. It's sad news. We are starting to lose all of the OG cast and crew and side people. This is just an additional boot in the hum hose, if you like, after the sad passing of David Prowse a couple of weeks ago. Of course, Jeremy Bullock, if you're not aware, he played the original Boba Fett. It wasn't always Tamura Morrison. He just lent his dulcet tones when it became apparent that we were going to have clones. And of course, Bullock was too old at that point to probably reprise the role. Well, he wasn't really, he was in his 50s, but it didn't go with it for whatever reason. But look, sad news, man. These guys were unsung heroes. They were the people who kind of held the fort, made the characters look cool. And then, when it became apparent you could do something with them maybe 20, 30 years later, they weren't really in a position to do it, as I keep saying. And yeah, it's sad that the man's passed away, but look, having seen what Parkinson's does to great men before him, the likes of Muhammad Ali, Billy Connolly, it's not really a lifestyle you'd want to be living with anyway. 75 is way too soon though, and he will be missed. He will be missed. He'll be missed at the conventions. He was a regular attendee. And yeah, a guy who made Boba Fett what he was in the original trilogy. He made him that cool 6-foot dashing figure who was severely underused, shall we say. And it's now that wrong is being righted, and it's all in the memory of the bold Jeremy. But look, I'm going to go back to that main headline there. It's all about Warner Brothers and their battle, their existential battle with the theatre chains. I'm going to bring that up. Still can't believe I says Peter Mayhew. Peter Mayhew's been dead about a year and a half or something. Jesus Christ, it's been a long day, guys. It's been very, very long. I'm very, very tired. So you will have to bear with me. There'll be more mistakes in there, and there will be more slurring of the words and stuttering Stanley moments. You can be assured of that. But look, there you go. Warner Brothers ticket prices may get slashed by movie theatres in protest of HBO Max plan, and rightly so, because they have not liaised with the production companies. They have not liaised with the talent. Maybe Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot aside, who were slipped a nice little $10 million brown bag payment under the table. They've not liaised with the theatres. They've not liaised with anybody. You've seen Denis Villeneuve doing a passionate open letter. I think it was on Variety. We've seen the likes of Christopher Nolan speaking about how this is an absolute mistake from this theatre company. They don't know what they're going to be losing until it's gone. And for that reason alone, whilst I can see the evolution into digital being inevitable, there is ways to do it, and this is not the way to do it. Shitting on top of everyone and their granny. Shitting on, not shipping on, there you go, it says it's slimmer words. Shitting on the theatre, the exhibitors as well, people who have probably kept you in business for a long time. That sort of parasitical, is that the right word? Maybe not parasitical, symbiotic relationship that the old studios and the theatre companies have shared over the course of the last 100 years or whatever. But look, man, they're looking to slash cut the ticket prices. Apparently, this is all speculative at the moment, but I can see them doing it just out of pure spite, and I can get on board with spite because I'm quite a spiteful person at times as well. Right up my street. Try to see where it is. It's here. AMC Theatres and Cinemark Theatres have both issued statements saying that they will be forced to consider carrying Warner Brothers movies on a title-by-title basis. Inside sources are claiming that the chains are actually thinking one step further than that. It is believed that some exhibitors are considering bringing prices down to $3 to $5 for any Warner's titles, and it would want to keep. Incidentally, I hate that when they shorten a name like Warner Brothers to Warner's. Man, it's so short already. Why do we say Warner Brothers? Horrendous. It's like Jedi and Empire. No, man, come on, give it its name. But they want to keep 75%, 80% of the revenue, meaning the studio would get almost nothing back as it stands. Many of the big movie theatre chains could run out of money by next month, and AMC is putting partial blame on Warner Brothers for their latest announcements. No, but I can get on board with this, man. I really can, because something has to be done to force the studio's hand. I'm going to get into it later with Disney. They are taking a slightly different approach to how they are potentially going to be dealing with the straight-to-streaming service multi-release strategy. They're doing something slightly different with it, a little bit more tactful, and obviously not going to be as long-lasting as this Warner Brothers shenanigans. So I can get on board with what they're doing. You have to force their hand, and if that takes reducing ticket prices by 80% or whatever it is, I don't know what the prices are over in the States. I know over here they're usually about between £5 and £15, and that would be about $20 to $30 over in the States. So if it takes reducing it by 75%, then so be it. You have to do what's necessary to force their hands, because they're being completely ridiculous with this dual release strategy stretching beyond the pandemic era, if you like, and Lord knows how long that's going to go on. So whilst I can understand the natural evolution and where Warner Brothers are coming from, because it is inevitable that all consumption will go digital, it's currently analogue, but there always has to be a place for the communal experience of watching movies on the big screen in a theatre. Therefore, you have to give a bit to these studios. These movie theatres. You have to try and keep them in business, man, because they are in trouble and they're just shitting on them from a great height. But look, another reason this strategy, I believe, from Warner Brothers is not going to last is this. Just read that headline there. Warner Media stands to lose $1.2 billion in box office by releasing movies on HBO Max. So not only are you rubbing up the talent the wrong way, you're rubbing up filmmakers, esteemed filmmakers like Denis Villeneuve, James Gunn, Christopher Nolan. You're rubbing everyone up the wrong way, so much so that they are ready to rebel and actually potentially boycott using Warner Brothers until they put this stupidity aside. Not only have you got production companies like Legendary Entertainment potentially suing them because of their actions, but they're also losing $1.2 billion in box office, so it doesn't even make sense from a financial standpoint. I'm actually trying to see if I can get some quotes here, because I briefly skimmed over this. It was merely just the headline that tantalised me. I've got some quotes here. This is not from Warner Brothers, though. This is from the National Association of Theatres Owners, and as you'd imagine, slightly biased opinion, but they're probably right. Most people think exhibition will be doing very well in the latter half of 2021. Maybe they won't be doing record numbers, but they will probably be back to profitable business operations. I should sincerely hope so. Vaccines are being rolled out just now to the old fuddy-duddies, and I would hope that a sizable proportion of the population will be vaccinated by the middle of next year. So much so that it breaks transmission, we can get some control under this pandemic, and then we can get bums back in seats watching movies on the big screen. We're going to have an amazing year next year for movies. And it would be an absolute travesty if we couldn't be in a position where we can all go and enjoy it on a big screen, and we're forced into watching it on our TVs in the house. I mean, there's a place for that, but not movies like Dune and Kong v Godzilla and Wonder Woman, which we're getting more over here. We have to watch it in a theatre, and I'm happy about that. But there's types of content that are befitting for small screen, types that really have to be enjoyed on the biggest screen. They went on to say this: Warner's tried to come up with a plan to make content available for the pandemic, but the way they designed the plan is not optimal, because they declared the pandemic wasn't going to end until the end of next year. And who's to say they're not right? Mr. National Association of Theatre Owners, who's to say they're not right? This was actually IMAX CEO Rich Gelfond that says that. It wasn't the National Association of Theatre Owners. Who's to say they're not right? We don't know how long this pandemic is going to go on for. Certainly the vaccine sort of rollout is going to be a long and winded process. It's not guaranteed that we will be back to a degree of normality by the middle of next year. It could be that it'll last for 2 years. The last great pandemic, the 1918 Spanish flu, 2 years it lasted. So maybe they're ahead of the curve. Maybe they're not insane like Heath Ledger's Joker famously says. They were just ahead of the curve. Maybe they are right. And we'll see if the strategy's all aligned. We'll see who gets it right in the long run. Just like we'll see who is getting the actual pandemic right in the long run. Because there's a lot of people going to be getting cushy with jail cells very, very shortly, believe me. We've got another thing here. This is absolute pie in the sky bullshit, and for all the aforementioned reasons that I gave there, HBO Max subscriptions could pass Disney Plus because of Warner Brothers streaming decision. Well, I absolutely do believe, I'm not going to linger on that article, just bring it up, sort of frame and narrate what I'm talking about here. It could be possible that HBO Max could get a boost if this dual release strategy continues on into the foreseeable future, because people will want to watch movies like June. They will want to watch Wonder Woman 1984. They will want to watch the likes of Suicide Squad, Kong v Godzilla, all of the other releases that are coming out. And if you can get access to that on the streaming service, even if you're going and supporting your local theatre and watching it as a communal experience, rewatchability you've got at your fingertips. If you're a subscriber, why would you not subscribe if you had access to that content? So highly possible that it will get a medium to short term bump. But as I said before, the talent, the filmmakers, the actors, the theatre owners, everyone's against this. It's going to cannibalise into their profits, and ultimately in the next 2 to 3 years, once this pandemic scurries off under the hole that it came out of, we will go back to a degree of what we've seen before. I believe that it will be changed. We will see medium, small size movies going to theatre, or going to streaming services. But we will see for bigger releases like June, Suicide Squad, it going back to a degree of normality. And that's therefore why I don't see that streaming service ultimately prevailing out against Disney. Because Disney are restructuring their entire company for streaming. They have Marvel content, Star Wars content, they have Indiana Jones content. They have a whole array of different IPs within their umbrella. And they're just churning it out, man. They're completely, what would be the word? Relentless. And they're churning out of hopefully very good content. So I think they will ultimately probably succeed against HBO Max. I think it will be between them, probably Apple because of their money, Amazon and Netflix. It will be a four-way battle. The likes of Peacock and all this other shit will fall by the wayside. Hulu is always going to be a specialised source of movie consumption over in the States. We don't get it over here though. But look, I'm going to move on to the second topic. It's continuing this theme of contracts and dual release strategies and where we're going with cinema in the course of the next year or two. And it's all about Marvel Disney this time. As I says, they are exploring a very different approach to the whole dual release strategy. And as we see here, it's coming in. I don't know what that was there. I'm going to bring myself back in case, yep, as I suspect, we have got the stream starting soon graphic up again. This is coming in from Screen Rant. Hey, Harley, what are you doing, my friend? You're looking very awkward. Coming over. Come on over here. Quick. Over. My dog's looking incredibly awkward. He's sitting over here. Very, very strange position. And it doesn't look natural. Oh, I digress. As you can see, Marvel is preparing for MCU movies to go to Disney Plus, and they're doing this via contract restructuring. They are offering adjusted compensation to key talent, and emphasis on key talent there, because the plebingtons and the lower echelons of the Disney umbrella, they're not going to be getting pay rises. It's going to be the likes of Scarlett Johansson. She's not getting it though, because as I'll get into shortly, big name actors, they're going to get it. But look, Marvel may adjust the payment of its actors depending on the future of MCU movies. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to roil the entertainment industry, though Marvel felt its impact early on with delays, what is my dog doing here, to the highly anticipated Black Widow and a frequent reshuffling of its release calendar. I'm not going to read all the way through this shit because it's tedious. I'll try and find a little bit that I think. There we go. According to The Wrap, they were the ones that broke it. I tried to take The Wrap's article, but they were forcing me to subscribe to their website, and sorry, I just wasn't doing it. And this says, as Marvel Studios is beginning to consider new contracts that would allow for flexibility in the event that the pandemic or other factors had to lead to a decision to bypass theatres in favour of streaming release. Actors, directors, writers, producers would receive adjusted payments under the new terms depending on whether an MCU, is that right? That's whether a MCU movie. That's not correct English screen rant. I'm pretty sure it isn't. Opens it. I'm going to have to search it up afterwards. Movies open their theatres or debut on Disney Plus. This would reportedly only affect films which have yet to enter production, hence why Scarlett Johansson is screwed. She's not getting a pay increase if it goes straight to Disney Plus. She's not worrying. One of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. Black Panther 2, yada yada yada. They will all be the ones that will be looking to profiteer off of this new arrangement. Should this pandemic continue rumbling on, they have to release the movies on Disney Plus. I think this is inevitable. As I keep saying, they're restructuring their entire company to focus on streaming, on direct-to-consumer content. With Warner Brothers doing it, with Universal doing it, kinda. It's inevitable that they are going to start releasing some kind of movies on Disney Plus and in theatres at the same time. Premium access, of course, and then in a couple of months' time, we'll get screwed over and it will go straight to Amazon Prime, like what they've done with Disney's Mulan. It's inevitable that it's going to happen, but as I said before, they are going through the process in a more humane manner. It's a little bit more dignified than what Warner Brothers are doing, where they're announcing it to the press. They've not even spoken to the directors, the actors, everyone involved in these movies, production companies. They're at least giving the actors the common decency to actually speak to them and say, look, if it does have to happen, we'll give you more money. Because by all accounts, actors, if a movie's a box office success, they get a bonus pay. And that's been up in the air, whether they're going to get that with this streaming service shenanigans. But it looks like Disney Marvel are a step ahead of the curve and a little bit better at doing business than Warner Brothers. Shock horror, who's surprised about that? But look, here's a nice little one. I've done it again, haven't I? I thought I'd done it again. Here's a nice little interconnected thing regarding contracts in Disney Marvel. It seems like in the whole confusion of that investors call, the confusion of pandemics and all of this shit direct to consumer, Disney Marvel and Sony have somehow managed to slip a nice little, oh, my dog's whining here, that's not good, nice little contract extension in for Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Peter Parker. This has been reported from not an amazing source, I wouldn't imagine, but it's according to This Insider show. I don't know anything about them. They may be very, they may have their finger on the pulse. My dog's concerned. What's up with you, my friend? You needing the toilet? You know what, I'll be back in just 2 seconds. Bear with me, I'll be back. La 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 la. Don't know what's going on with the dog there. He's trying to push in. I'll be back again. I'll be back again. It's a shambles, guys. Bear with me. He's trying to come back in. And the dog is back, so we're back in business. But look, let's get back into it, man. This is just a shambles of a show. Tom Holland, Spider-Man, Disney Marvel, contract renegotiation has happened by all accounts. This Insider, can't even say it, show has revealed that a deal has allegedly been extended as a result of Spider-Man's increasingly, I can't speak, important role in the MCU's future. Look, I hope this is true. As they say there, it was initially extended in August 2019. There was lots of disconcerting, I don't know. I was trying to be fancy pants there. It's too late. I shouldn't be doing it. There was lots of wailing and gnashing of teeth on social media when it was announced that Tom Holland would perhaps not be coming back to the MCU, that the deal had ran out and they couldn't come to an agreement over pay, percentage of profit and stuff like that. But it got ironed out. He came back. And now, just a year or so later, it looks as though they've extended it again. And this is great news, man, for, if it's true, for MCU Marvel fans, for Tom Holland fans, because this character is so important to the MCU. He is looking like the heir apparent to Tony Stark. He's a godlike superhero character who deserves to be treated with respect moving forward in this MCU. I feel like he's been underutilised. He's been treated like a joke. He's got training wheels on. He's got an Iron Man suit technology on. Getting helped out with other characters. This guy's one of the greatest comic book characters in the Marvel side of things, and hopefully we can start moving forward with this. There's a little bit more security, a little bit more foundation to the character. We've not just got 2 movies on an ongoing rolling contract situation. Hopefully that continues, and I'd be over the moon if it does, man. I've had another one there. I had another article opened here, I think perhaps relating into it. No, I did not. So on that note, I've not got much more to add. There's not a whole lot of meat on the bones. Here's praying, fingers crossed, that it's true and he has had his contract extended, because I love Tom Holland. I love his version of Peter Parker. Stupendously excited for Spider-Man 3 and what's to come with that movie. It looks like it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. The Civil War of Spider-Man. Lots of characters coming in. Huge plot devices and points that are going to power Phase 4 and 5 moving forward. But I'm going to move on to the third topic here. It's George Clooney. He's been coming out and speaking about that Tom Cruise rant behind the scenes of Mission Impossible 7. A rant that I agree with, incidentally. I think he was absolutely bang on the money. Some people were saying he was some rich, pretentious, privileged millionaire, and that you shouldn't have been speaking down to these people on the set. Well, what I'd say to that is, if you're breaking COVID regulations, you're not playing by the rules established on the set during a pandemic. Rules that are allowing you to have a job and hundreds and dozens of other people around you to have a job, then you deserve to have your arse towed time and time again. So I'm absolutely on the side of Tom Cruise. And look, it appears that George Clooney's on the side of Tom Cruise as well. I'm not going to play the audio. That's a good thing, because every time I play audio on the show, we get our arses felt with the copyright claims. So, including some flip book animation that someone done on Twitter. Some company claimed that as their own. Bamboozles me, but hey ho, hi ho Silver. This is what he's had to say. Didn't overreact because it is a problem. I have a friend who's an AD, I presume that's an assistant director on another TV show, who just had the almost exact same thing happen with not quite as far out a response. That's because he's not Tom Cruise, and he doesn't follow the religion of Scientology, which is bullshit. And he doesn't have a whole array of people hating on him because he's got perfect teeth and hair, and he's an all-out action hero who's been one of the biggest names in Hollywood for now on 30 years. When you are that person, no matter what you say, even if you're right, you're going to have your naysayers and detractors. Went on to say this: I wouldn't have done it that big. I wouldn't have, pulled people out. You're in a position of power and it's tricky, right? You do have a responsibility for everybody else, and he's absolutely right about that. And if the production goes down, a lot of people lose their jobs. People have to understand that and have to be responsible. It's just not my style to, take everybody to task that way. I understand why he did it. He's not wrong at all about that. He's not wrong at all about that, I should say. I don't know what I would have done if quite that personally, but I don't know. Terrible English, George. Get your shit together here. I know you're getting old, but come on, that's no excuse. Personally, blah, blah, blah. 10, 15 times circumstances. Yeah, look, it's nice to see people coming out and backing him up, because he's been getting a hard time from social media and other idiots, or idiots as we call it idiot, and it means idiot in other countries. It's Scottish for the idiot. Idiot. Double E. Try to remember how to spell it now. Egypt. EGIT. I think. Egypt. He's right. Man, Tom Cruise was right. He was right to come out and absolutely destroy them. That's the way I act. If someone wrongs me, I absolutely destroy them. I'm not a sniper. I'm not a backstabber. I'm not a bitcher. I'm a straight to the point, right into your face and letting you know you done wrong. Don't do it again. And that's why I can respect what he came out and says. That's why I can absolutely respect his concern for people around about him. It's not just about Tom Cruise. This guy loses the production. He's rich. He has multiple houses. He's staying in a £380,000 penthouse in London. He's buying out bakeries for cakes. This guy doesn't give a shit. If he loses the production, it's people around about who are going to lose out, who don't have as much money, who will be out of job and may be getting under the poverty threshold. So I respect it, man. I respect his concern for other people, his sort of drive to be the gold standard in filmmaking during the pandemic, and I cannot wait to see Mission Impossible 7. Christopher McQuarrie has just been a godsend for that franchise. What he's done with the last 2 movies has been fan-dabby-dozy, as another Scottish saying. Fantastic. I don't want to speak about that on here though, fan-dabby-dozy. No. But it's been fantastic, man, what he's done for it. And I just can't wait to see the game getting upped again and again and again. They've consistently gave us bigger set pieces, bigger, more bombastic action, brilliant cerebral storytelling, multifaceted villains, up in the game for action. So much so that other franchises like Bond have to follow in their footsteps. They have to sort of be innovative in the same process alongside these people. But look, man, I agree with Tom Cruise. I agree with George Clooney. It was the right thing to do. He's not wrong. And all those little bitches hating on him can go and, yeah, you know what. But look, I digress. I'm going to move on to topic number 4. And it's again existentialism, movies and fears. And this time it's Tom Hanks speaking about it. And he has had this to say. I've got so many articles opened on this iPad. Wait till you see me try to remember all of the topics I spoke about in this show at the end when I round it up. It's going to be fun. Tom Hanks on the future of movies. A sea change was due. This is what the man's had to say. I'm not going to read all of it because Tom likes to speak, like me, funnily enough. But Jesus Christ, he speaks and he speaks and he speaks. He was given a question and he maybe answered it a little bit too well, shall we say. Alright, I'll read some of it, but not too much. Even in Los Angeles, it's a bit hard to go to the movies, isn't it? You've got to drive, you've got to park, you've got to be there at a very certain time. I love the ArcLight. There's one in Hollywood and one close to where I live. There was a theatre that was charging $27 a seat so people would bring you nachos. Essentially, you didn't think it was cost effective. Can I get you some more cheese in your nachos? No, he didn't want more cheese in his nachos. He wanted to watch a movie. And what he's getting at, in a sense, is that it became bloated. And they get a little bit full of themselves, a little bit egocentric. And they were charging too much money. And it was driving people away from the theatre-going experience anyway, so a sea change was necessary. He went on to continue and say this: in New York, where I am now, it's one of the easiest places to go to movies. You can decide to go to the movies and be in a theatre half an hour later. You can walk to one, there's enough screens around when the movies are open. Of course, you can go off and have a plethora of choices, even if those choices might be the 12 movies that are playing nationally at any given time. He goes on to say this. He says a lot, a hell of a lot. But he's been on to say this. This goes a long way to say that the sea change was due anyway. It was coming. The fact that they are. I don't want to take up too much time on this answer. I'm not going to read all of that, Tom. You're killing me here. I'm trying to do a show. In a sense, he thought a sea change was necessary, man. The process had become too expensive, and it was a little bit bloated with the same movies anyway. So post-pandemic, we may see a complete change in the theatres, their attitudes to movies, what movies they put on their screens, falling out with major studios like Warner Brothers, maybe not playing their movies, maybe playing independent, smaller movies in place of them. And it may be that we go back to a better time for movies, the likes that Martin Scorsese pined for, where we're not just going to movies to watch MCU movies, we're not just going to theatres, there's too many movies in there to watch MCU movies and stuff like that. We could have a more diverse choice of content to feast our eyes upon. And it could be that it becomes cheaper as a process and that the whole process is more, how shall I put it, not accessible, but it's more varied. You can stay in your house and watch it, you can go to the theatres, there'll be something for everyone. The communal experience will never die, and ultimately it'll change, and it'll change for the better. So I agree with Tom again. It was very long and winded. Tom gave us a 4-paragraph answer, very long paragraphs at that. I agree with Tom though, tangents and just dotteriness aside, I do agree with what he says, and I'm going to move on that note to topic number 5. It's Barry Jenkins. It's The Lion King 2. And it's getting high praise from the bold Barry Jenkins. He's had this to say, and what a magnificent image that is of the great Mufasa. Is that Mufasa? That is Mufasa. There's Simba there. Because Simba looks kind of like Mufasa when he's older. But he's not got James Earl Jones' dulcet tones, has he? It was Donald Glover. He had his tones, and nothing wrong with Donald. But look, this is what he's had to say, Barry. Yeah, it's pretty cool. My agents send me a lot of scripts, I bet they do. When this one came super top secret, I was very sceptical. Like you, I remember when The Lion King came out, I had 2 nephews, so I used to watch it with them. Well, I was the nephew. I was in that age, Barry. He says, and so I used to watch it. Yeah, you read that, John. Lion King was the baby shark of my time. Don't know about that. I'd seen it literally hundreds of times and I had this connection to it. Yeah, I was sceptical because who am I to make a Lion King movie? Not a Lion King sequel, a Lion King movie. And that is a very interesting remark he says there, because this shouldn't be treated like a sequel. This should be treated like a completely distinct entity. Its own movie, doing its own things with different characters. And we're going to get into Mufasa. I'm pretty damn sure that's what they're saying this is about. It's a prequel about Mufasa, his upbringing, how he became this eponymous sort of guy. I don't even know if that's the right word to use. in this pride, how he developed this sort of abrasive relationship with his brother Scar, and how things ultimately led up to what we've seen in The Great Lion King from the 1990s and the decent, not so great Lion King from a couple of years ago that I went to see in opening night, incidentally, and loved, because I love Jon Favreau and I love Donald Glover and I don't mind Beyonce, and there was elements within that were pretty damn decent despite it being not as good. But look, man, I'm going off in tangents, it's dangerous. He continued with this. I read the script and about 40 pages in I turned to Lulu Wang and I said, holy shit, this is good. And as I kept reading, I got further from the side of the brain that said, oh, a filmmaker like you doesn't make a film like this. And I allowed myself to get to the place where these characters, this story is amazing. What really pushed me across the line was James, my DP, said, you know what, there's something really interesting in this mode of filmmaking that we haven't done and not many people have done. That was when I went back to the powers that be and said, I would love to do this, but I've got to be able to do what I do. And they said yes, and thank God they said yes, because I am very, very excited about this. I was excited from day dot, really, when I heard about this movie happening. This guy's very interesting filmmaking style. He's delivered, let's be honest, 2 absolutely stupendous movies in the last 4 years. If Beale Street Could Talk was sublime, emotional movie watching that, I have to say, in the plight of that poor guy. It was sublime. And Moonlight, of course, Oscar-winning movie, another sublime story about the intricacies of this very interesting guy. Various different versions of this guy in the one movie. He's such a good filmmaker. He comes from that background. He understands that sort of cultural affinity to the African continent, and that's going to imbue itself in this movie. I can feel it to my very bones. And we're going to get a different kind of blockbuster live action hyper CGI, I think it was Jon Favreau says. Very different kind of movie to what John gave us. It's a different time period, it's a different kind of storytelling, and he's a different kind of filmmaker. And I cannot wait to see what this guy brings to the Lion King's franchise. It could be that it's a one and done. It could be that he enjoyed it so much he wants to keep continuing making movies for the Disney umbrella, and we just get to see this guy's brilliance, his beautiful themes explored within a sort of more accessible multi-demographic platform. But look, I'm going to move on. I'm gibbering absolute shite here, guys. Not going to lie, absolute nonsense. I start to say multi-demographic platforms and stuff like that, you know you're in trouble, really. But look, final topic, coming to America, 2 images released. It's very short and sweet down there. I couldn't even be arsed trying to think up a better wording. I just put it in. It looked weird. It looked very empty. But I went with it anyway, because you know what? It's late, man. It's after 12 in the morning here, so I'm going to crack on with this and stop talking. Let's go to it. The images have released. Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy. It's confirmed these guys just do not age. They do not age. These guys are in their 50s. And they look younger than me. There's not a line on their face. I'm incredibly biased. I'm incredibly jealous. It's getting late. It's getting very late. I'm incredibly jealous of this man. Look at that guy's face. This guy's... I have to search up Eddie Murphy just now. Find out how old Eddie is. How old is Eddie? Eddie was born in 1961. He's nearly 60 years old. Jesus Christ, man. I think it's true. Little Nigerian guy I work with says, black don't crack, it don't. That guy looks good as well, by the way. He's in his 40s and he looks about the same age as me as well. Incredible, man. They do not age, and these characters look as though they've just stepped right out of 1988's come to America, right into 2020's come to America. It's coming out this year, isn't it? I think it's next year it's coming out. Just looks as though they're walking right back in, and barely any time's passed, and you see that down here. Look at this, man. He just looks amazing. Look at the colours. Vibrant orange, red, golden colours. He looks like a king. He's wearing the jewellery. He looks stupendous. He's got a velvet waistcoat on that only Eddie Murphy could get away with and not look like a complete fool. Well, Donald Glover could get away with it too. He wore a similar setup. There he is in his famous gear he wore in the first movie. He's kept the jacket, he's kept the hat. If it's not a flashback, and he looks that young, he could get away with a flashback, let's be honest. He's back in New York. He's clearly kept all of the stuff that was close to his heart. He's had the breakdown of that relationship, I believe. And he's coming back and he's trying to recapture his youthful sort of zeitgeist, his energy, if you like. There we go. Maybe she's not. Maybe it's not broke down. I'm talking shite. There she's there. Looks like that's the same woman from Come to America. I don't know her name. that he fell in love with and brought back from Queens to make her a queen. And of course, here we have all of the barbers. I can't believe they're still alive. They should be well dead, but I'm glad they're alive because these characters were amazing. Just that banter, man, that barbershop banter. Rocky Marciano. Why is it every time you mention boxing, a white guy's going to mention Rocky Marciano? He'd kick Joe Louis's ass. Just the back and forth, man. You lying. You didn't meet Dr. Martin Luther King. These characters were amazing. It was the first time I'd ever seen multi-character performances from the one actor. Of course, we've got Arsenio and we've got Eddie in there. And they look as though they're capturing that. It looks like the same set, man. It's just been recreated. Like the Shining's Overlook Hotel was recreated in Doctor Sleep and in Ready Player One. It's been recreated amazingly. And I just can't wait to see these guys letting it rip on a new generation of people, cutting their hair and giving them the absolute shit at the same time. That looks brilliant. And there he is. There is James Earl Jones, King Jaffe Joffer himself. He's looking a lot older. Black's starting to crack there, sadly, but who gives a shit? It's James Earl Jones, an absolute legend of a man, a legend of a character. Let them wait. I'm talking to my son. Cannot wait to see this movie, man. When I first heard about it, I thought, nope, don't want to see us come to America. A sequel, it's going to be terrible. That first movie was a cult classic. One of my favourite Eddie Murphy movies. One of my favourite comedy movies, like Sexual Chocolate and Randy Watson and stuff like that, and Soul Glow, and all of the shenanigans we got in that movie. You couldn't recreate that and make it equally as good or better in a sequel. But I tell you what, man, if anybody can do it, Eddie can do it. And it looks as though, just from the visual standpoint, from the story standpoint, getting the likes of Wesley Snipes in there, like he's going to do a damn good job of trying to at least emulate, if not better, the original movie. And I sincerely hope he does, because no one wants it more than me, apart from probably Eddie. I want to see Sexual Chocolate back. I want to see them reforming. Everyone's reforming now. Why can't Sexual Chocolate reform? What tuxedo is he going to be wearing? How big is his belly going to be? Is he still get that hip sort of shuffle? Is he still dropping mics and expecting applause from people before he even sings because he knows he's shite? Only time will tell. But look, guys, what is your thoughts on the topics I touched upon? I'm done. What do you make about the whole Warner Brothers and the movie theatres split? This sort of argument, this breakdown in relationships between these. Is this the end of times as we know it in Hollywood? Will their slashing of the Warner Brother movie ticket prices force some change? If Chris Nolan and the likes of Denis Villeneuve can't make change, can the theatre companies introduce change by hitting them in the back pocket? What's your thoughts on that? What do you make about Disney restructuring some contracts? Looks as though they may be sending some movies to Disney Plus in the upcoming future, and if not, they will reimburse their actors and their talent. Do you think that's a better way to handle the situation as opposed to Warner Brothers like me? What do you make about the likes of Barry Jenkins speaking about The Lion King 2, waxing lyrically about the script? What the hell do you make about the Coming to America elite shots? Finally, what the hell do you make about any of the other topics I spoke about that I can't even remember? You can comment below and let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this in the future. And if you do, that's what you'll get. You'll get more content like this in the future, man. But look, until then, I'm going to bid you farewell with a bye-bye.